Okay, good afternoon to all. I will read on behalf of Sister Peglen's assignment. She answers two questions. This is question number 1. The method of dependent of arising denote causal structure of the round of existence. Explain in detail. Paticca Samuppada, or in English, dependent origination or dependent arising, which the Buddha called the core of the teaching. It is the causal map of samsara, the repetitive cycle of birth, death, and suffering. Let's break down the statement in detail. 1. The method of dependent arising. This is not a single linear law like A causes B. Rather, it is a method, a way of seeing how phenomena arise in dependence on conditions. The formula is, when this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to be. With that cessation of this, with the cessation of this, that ceases. This method applies universally to mental and physical processes, but its most famous application is to the problem of suffering and rebirth. 2. Denotes causal structure. Dependent arising describes a specific pattern of conditionality, not just random events or a single creator. It has several key features. Specific conditionality, ida paccayata. Each link is a necessary condition for the next, but not necessarily a sufficient one. Other factors may also be required. Simultaneous and sequential conditioning. Some links arise together. For example, name and form and consciousness. Other triggers a sequence over time. Example, birth leads to aging and death. No permanent self. The links are empty processes. No soul travels through them. They are like the movement of a flame from one candle to another. 3. Of the round of existence, Vatattha. Round of existence means samsara, the beginningless cycle of birth, aging, death, rebirth, accompanied by suffering, dukkha. Dependent arising is the architectural blueprint of this round. It shows why we keep cycling, because each link fuels the next, and ignorance at the start keeps the whole machine turning. The 12-link causal chain. Dependent origination describes the cycles through 12-link causes, which are ignorance, avidya, mental formation, sankhara, consciousness, vijnana, mind and body, nama, rupa, 6 senses, salayatana, contact, phasa, feeling, vedana, craving, tanha, clinging, upadana, becoming, bhava, birth, jati, last but not least, aging and death, jara, marana. This is the causal structure of the round. It operates across 3 lives, past, present, future, but also moment to moment within a single mind. The round is circular, not linear. At death, the last link, aging and death, fits back into ignorance for the next life. This is often shown as no ignorance, no formation, etc. In the end, lead to no suffering. Or Ignorance leads to suffering. Suffering reinforces ignorance. The cycle repeats endlessly unless broken. Thus, without breaking the causal chain, suffering perpetuates endlessly. The phrase causal structure means these 12 links are not random. They follow a lawful, ordered pattern of cause and effect. Each step depends on the previous one, conditions the next one. If you understand this causal structure, you see there is no first cause. The route is beginningless. Each link is necessary. Remove ignorance, and the whole round stops. The path to liberation is to reverse the sequence by developing wisdom to end suffering. Craving ceases. Clinging ceases. Becoming ceases. Birth ceases. Aging and death ceases. Cease. This is why the Buddha said, one who sees dependent arising sees the Dhamma. One who sees the Dhamma sees dependent arising. In summary, the statement is accurate. Dependent arising is the Buddha's detailed causal model of how suffering arises and persists through the cycle of rebirth. It is a method because it's a universal principle of conditionality applied here to the realm of existence. So that's the end of question number 1 from Sister Beck Lang.
Anybody want to add on?
If none, I will go to the next question. Question number 5. Explain Heto Paccaya. Describe how it works. Hetu Paccaya means root condition. Independent origination generally. Paccaya means a supporting condition. Hetu means a root or cause. In Abhidhamma use, Hetu Paccaya names the way the 6 mental roots function as deep drivers that condition other mental factors, which is Cetasika in Pali and consciousness Citta in the same moment. The 6 roots referring to the wholesome roots of Kusala Hetu includes Aloba, non-greed, Adosa, non-hate or metta, Amoha, non-delusion or wisdom. It also includes unwholesome roots, the Akusala Hetu, that includes Loba or greed, Dosa, hate or ill will, Moha, delusion. How it works, moment to moment. When a citta arises, it may be rooted in some combination of these two. For example, a generous impulse arises with loba and often adosa. Aloba and often adosa. An angry thought arises with dosa. A deluded taste arises with moha. The root color and empower the whole mind moment. They shape intention, cetana, attention, manasikara, feeling, tone, vedana, and subsequent choices. As the paccaya, a root supports its consequence, sahajata, born together. The citta and the other mental factors co-arising with it. Thus, a loba condition clarify and release from clutching. Loba conditions clinging and biased perception. Repetition builds tendency, asava or anusaya. Roots that occur frequently condition future arisings by making similar mind states more likely, like deepening proofs. Relation to other conditional modes. Hetu Paccaya is one among 24 conditional relations listed in the Paṭṭhāna in Abhidhamma. It focuses on root as causes inside a single mind moment, while other relations cover sequential or external support. Example, Aramana Pacaya, object conditions, Antara Pacaya, or immediacy conditions. In the broader 12-fold Paticca Samuppada, moha or ajiva, in English it is delusion or ignorance, functions as the fundamental hetu driving formation, sankhara. When ignorance ceases, wholesome roots can dominate, and wisdom or moha counteracts the cycle. Everyday examples. Seeing ads for a new phone and thinking, I must have it. The citta is rooted in lobha. The root conditions attention to attractive features, ignores drawbacks, and inclines speech and action towards acquisition. Receiving harsh criticism and flaring up. Dosa ruta citta conditions harsh speech and bodily attention. A third example, meeting a stray dog and feeling warm care. Adosa and alobha supports patience, generosity, and protective action. In meditation, recognizing a thought as just a thought, amoha supports clear comprehension, sampa, jhana, and release. Strength for practice implications. Strengthen wholesome roots, cultivate dana, generosity, and sila, ethical restraint, to weaken lobha and dosa. Develop metta to soften aversion. Clarify views to counter moha, frequent reflection on impermanence, suffering, and not self, anicca, dukkha, anatta. And listening to Dhamma, shift the baseline root from moha to amoha. Mindfulness at contact. Note feeling tones, either pleasant, painful, or neutral. Catch the arising root. Label it gently, greed, ill will, delusion, or other opposites. This interrupts the chain from feeling and craving to clinging. Noble Eightfold Path as root training. Right view, right attention foster amoha, alobha, adosa. Wrong view, intention fits the unwholesome roots. Concise formula. With lobha, dosa, moha as hetu, unwholesome cittas and action arises. This root condition suffering. With alobha, adosa, amoha as hetu, wholesome cittas and actions arise. These roots condition freedom. Change the root, change the result. Plant wholesome roots repeatedly, and the mind's orchard changes. In Buddhism, karma is not just action. It is intentional action rooted in mental causes. Those roots are exactly what Hetu Pacaya described, how they connect. Hetu or roots create intention. Intention leads to becoming karma or taking action. And then karma will produce result, vipaka. Karma explains what you do. Dependent origination explains the whole process of suffering. Hetu Pacaya explains why it starts at the deepest level. When karma operates across lifetimes, Hetu Pacaya describes moment-to-moment conditioning with a single mind moment. Without these roots, a mental state is called rootless, ahetuka, which occurs in certain basic sensory consciousness. In practice, this explains why intention matters more than actions. The root you water greed versus generosity, directly conditions your present and future mind states. That's the end of Sis Beckling's presentation for question number 5.
Anybody want to comment?
Can I have some because I look at it is this is under Paṭṭhāna question. So generally the description is okay from the Dhamma perspective, but from the Paṭṭhāna perspective, I think he has to look at it on the conditioning factors. That is the conditioning states. Okay, she explained about the conditioning states, but the condition states is not fully elaborated. She does elaborate, but I think from the reality aspect, she didn't explain. So that may be one aspect where it can reinforce the what you call the assignment. That's a general observation of mine. Thank you.
Or you want to do another version of yourself for this?
If I got the time, I will wanted to do all the 24.
Share with everybody.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try if I got the time.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So can Brother Ko, you continue?
Okay, I'll continue
you.
with my question 2 and 6. My one is a bit long for this round because I did all the three and I actually elaborated quite substantially. So please bear with me. Okay, so this is YMBA Diploma Abhidhamma Assignment 7. So the question 2 is explain the following. There's 3 Paccaya, Paccaya, Adipati Paccaya, Asivana Paccaya, Ahara Paccaya. So today is the 12th of April 2026. So introductions. In the Theravada or Pali Abhidhamma Pitaka, there are 7 books. The 7th book is called Paṭṭhāna. In the Paṭṭhāna, it mentioned and described about 24 conditionality conditions, Paccaya, to explain both living and non-living things and happenings in the world or universe. It is very detailed and elaborate explanation compared to dependent arising, Paticca Samuppada, for the matrix of causal happenings. In this essay, I will try to explain these 3 conditioned forces, namely the predominance adipati, repetition asivana, and nutriment ahara conditions. So I'll skip the Pali terms. I think it's not very quite relevant in this context, but it's for my assignment. Okay, so let's go into the predominance condition, adipati paccaya. In the Paṭṭhāna, this adipati paccaya is described as a condition where the conditioning state, that is the cause, dominates over the conditioned states, that is the effects. The conditioned state is the effect or the results of the conditioning states. For example, like a king dominates over his citizens in his country. The king has great power over the citizens, and the citizens support him. Thus, he is supreme and very dominant. There is something like sovereign power over the citizens, over the country. There are 2 types of adipati paccaya, namely object predominance condition, aramana adipati paccaya. And the second one is connaissance predominance, sahajata adipati paccaya. So let's look at the first one, object predominance conditions. Here it is the condition where the conditioning state as an object. That means the conditioning, besides it being a conditioning state, is also an object. And it dominates over the conditioned states, which take it as their object. Thus, the objects have to be very esteemed, greatly cherished, or strongly desired. For example, a beautifully crafted, elegant, majestic, smiling, and tall Buddha statue that exudes calm and peace, especially to the viewers, the devotees, and of course to the Buddhists from different nations and throughout the world. Or an esteemed and well-loved statesman who is easily recognizable, well-known, loved, and highly respected by his community members and others. So from the Paṭṭhāna perspective, the conditioning state, the cause, as well as the object, may be 1, 84 consciousness, that is excluding 2 delusion-rooted and 2 hatred-rooted, as well as 1 body consciousness with pain. Because these are the 5 consciousness which will not be an interesting object. So that's why 89 minus 5, so left only 84 consciousness, which are the conditioning state. And of course, there will be 47 mental factors accompany it, and that 47 exclude 4 hatred group and doubt. And the third component is the 18 concrete material. There's Nibbana Rupa. And then the fourth one is Nibbana. Nibbana is because it's the most predominant object, but it has a conditions to it. Thus, Aramana Adipati does not apply to hatred-rooted and delusion-rooted consciousness. From the conditioned states, the effects, they are the mental states, which are the Javana Chittas, and they are 28 consciousness, namely the 8 Greek-rooted Lobha Mula, 8 beautiful, wholesome Mahakusala, 4 sense sphere functional, but associated with knowledge, that is Mahapiriya, Jnana Sampayutta, and 8 supramundane Lokuttara consciousness. And the second component is the 45 mental factors, that is, it excludes 4 dosa chatuka, vichikicha, which is the doubt, and then the 2 apamanya, which is the illimitables. And the second component of Adipati Pacaya is the connaissance predominance conditions. It is a condition where the conditioning state dominates the conditioned states, which are also connaissant with it. That means the conditioning state as well as the conditioned states are both connaissant. And the conditioning state at the same time dominates over the conditioned states. That means the cause condition dominates over the effects state. So here they arise together, and the conditioning state dominates over the conditioned states. It repeat. Thus, the conditioning state is a strong leading factor. That means the cause is a very strong leading factor that takes charge and powerfully supports the arising and the effectiveness of the associated mental state. So that means the cause is actually very strong, and it helps and supports the effects mental states. So the conditioning state is fourfold, namely Chanda, Viriya, Chitta, and Vimansa. So these are the fourfold conditioning state for Sahajata Adipati Pacaya. So, and at any one time, only one of these will be dominant. He is the leader. And it only happens in 52 jhāvana consciousness with 2 or 3 roots. And in Pali commentary, they call it Sadipati jhāvana. That means they have roots which are dominant. That means is in the jhāvana. And out of the 55 jhāvanas, only 52 are considered as Sadipati jhāvana. What are the 3 which is excluded? One is the Hasitupada, which is Ahituka, and then there is the other 2, which is the Moha-mola, that is the delusion-rooted, which has only 1 root. It's not 2 roots. So the Lobha has two roots, the Moha, Dosa has 2 roots. Is included in this Sadipati jhāvana. So the conditioned states are the connaissance mental states. And what are the mental states? They are the 8 greed-rooted, 2 hatred-rooted, 16 great wholesome and functional, 10 fine material wholesome and functional, that is 5. 8 immaterial wholesome and functional, that is 4 plus 4, and the 8 supramundane, that is 4 Magga, 4 Phala. So totally 52 jhāvana. So this is called Sadipati jhāvana. And the 51 mental factors which exclude doubt, vicikicca. And besides the mental states, we have the material phenomena. And what are they? They are the material born of predominance consciousness. So they have, in a commentary, they call it Sadipati Chittaja Rupa. That means born of consciousness. So from the practice perspective, when the practice encounters resistance or sluggishness, we can arouse and cultivate Chanda Adipati, that is the zest, predominance, such as recollect the purpose or the virtues of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, all the benefits of the practice. Or if the mind is scattered, we can strengthen the Citta Adipati, the consciousness predominance, such as simplify the task or focus attention on a single clear object. I think by focusing on a single clear object, it is easier to have concentration. So that will prevent the scattered mind from continuing on. And the third one is when doubt arises, we can invite Vimansa Adipati, that is the investigating predominance, to investigate the causes and the conditions, or try to recall a Dhamma that one's interested in. So that way we will divert or arouse another interesting topic to replace the doubt that arises. So in the table form, this is how the summary of Adipati Pacaya will look like. That means this is the condition, this is the conditioning states, and conditioning states, and these are the conditioned states. So when you look at the object predominance, then you have 84 chittas, 47 mental factors, 18 concrete material, and Nibbana. And the conditioned states becomes 28 chittas, and 45 jhāvana, mental factors. Whereas at the connaissance predominance, we have 4 predominance. So one of them will be dominant out of the 4. One will be dominant, and the other 3 will be subordinate to it. So the conditioned states are the 52 Sadipati jhāvana, 51 mental factors excluding doubt, as well as that is including the balance. Here there is 1 here, then there will be 51 minus 1 out of the dominant. And then the third part will be the Sadipati Staja Rupa. So this is in table form. So next, the second condition is the repetition condition, Asivana Pachaya. Asivana Pachaya is a condition where the conditioning state causes the conditioned states, which are similar to itself. That means the conditioning state and the conditioned state are similar to itself. To gather strength, that means the conditioned state becomes stronger and increase the power and efficiency after the conditioning state has ceased. So it means that the same type of mental state arises and ceases. That means the conditioning state and the conditioned state are the same, similar type of mental state. And it's one after another, repeatedly. Thus, because of that repetition, it gives strength and power to the later conditioned state. This happens during the jhāvana moments of cognitive process. The first jhāvana gives support to the second jhāvana by repetition condition, and so on until the sixth jhāvana will give support to the seventh jhāvana by repetition condition also. So as from the first right until the sixth, the conditioning force becomes stronger and stronger. A typical example is like when we repeat our study, we do our revision, and we keep on practicing the work. That makes one more proficient and clearer in the subject matter, or even in our trade or skills. So from the Paṭṭhāna perspective, the conditioning states are 1, 47 mundane jhāvana consciousness. And these are 12 unwholesome consciousness, 1 smile producing, 16 great wholesome and functional, 18 sublime wholesome and functional consciousness. So total 47 mundane jhāvana consciousness. And 52 mental factors. Whereas the conditioned states are 51 jhāvana, and these are the above 47 plus 4 magga, 4 path consciousness. So total 51. And 52 mental factors. The 4 path consciousness, the magga citta, can only arise in the path cognitive process. There is the magga vitti, the first magga vitti, and not any other cognitive process. So this is the exceptional case. So from the practice perspective, for a lay person, you can build wholesome exercises or systems, like for example, frequent sessions of mindfulness, frequent sessions of metta, or regular practice of gratitude, daily kind words, as well as internal reflections. These are wholesome exercises. And also we can actually interrupt unwholesome thoughts. When an unwholesome thought arises, we interrupt it and replace it with a counter thoughts like metta or ill will, unattractiveness or lust. So these are practical suggestions by Buddha in the suttas. So in table form, the conditioning state and the conditioned states. Conditioned states. So the conditioning state is 47 jhāvana and 52 mental factors. The conditioned states is 51 jhāvana and 52 mental factors. Okay, let's go to the third pachaya, ahara pachaya, nutriment condition. is a condition where the conditioning state relates to the conditioned states by producing them, maintaining them in existence, and supporting them in their growth and development. Meaning they are like food. It sustains and conditions the body and mind. It is twofold. One, form nutriment, rupa ahara, and two is the mental nutriment, nama ahara. So let's look at the form nutriment. Form nutriment refers to the nutritive essence in edible food, which condition the states for physical body of a being, namely the new material bond of nutriment, that is aharaja rupa kalapas. And it also reinforces the existing material groups born of all the four forces, keeping them strong and fresh so that they can continue to arise in succession. That means whatever has been existing due to the four causes, the food nutriment will help to reinforce these existing groups, as well as generating new food, new material bond of new material bond of nutriment. So in reality, the conditioning state is kabalikara ahara, and the conditioned states are the aharaja kalapas and existing groups of material bond of four causes. The four causes are the kamaja rupa, chittaja rupa, utuja rupa, and aharaja rupa. So in the suttas, for example, AN 4.37, Anguttara-nikaya 4.37, Aparihaniya Sutta, NN 53, there is a Majjhima Nikaya 53, Sekha Sutta, and then Anguttara-nikaya 3.16, Apanaka Sutta. Practitioner is advised to eat appropriately, moderately, and kindly to support the spiritual practice. And let's go and look at the mental nutriment, the Dhamma Ahara. There are three kinds of mental nutriment, namely contact, mental volition, consciousness. Phasa, Mano, Sancetana, and Vijnana. These are nutriments to their co-nascent mental and material phenomena, namely the 89 consciousness, 52 mental factors, and group of materials born of karma and consciousness, that is kamaja, rupa, and chittaja rupa. Sense contact fits feeling and other and subsequent mind states. Mental volitions or intention fix action of karma and future becoming bhava. Consciousness feels and supports name and form, nama rupa, in the cycle of experience. So knowing this, practitioner can choose to guard the sense thoughts and only allow appropriate, beneficial, and nourishing contact. Purify the intentions, especially by cultivation of wholesome mano sancetana. That is the wholesome mental volition, which will then lead to wholesome consciousness when these are especially accompanied by mindfulness, wise attention, and with the right view. Hence, the mind will have clarity and steady with no regret and remorse. So here is the table form for the Ahara Pachaya. So there are four types here. Food, form nutriment, which is the food nutriment. Then you have the contact, volition, and consciousness. And the conditioning states, as stated here, this is the ultimate reality. There is edible food. Actually, this should be Kabbalikara. Sorry, I think it's reverse already. Now, Kabbalikara should be over here. This one should be edible food essence. They will contact. These are the ultimate reality. And then the conditions, they are material born and nutriment, aharaja rupa and existing rupa. Then for the contact, then the condition state will be feeling and then subsequent mental state and other mental associated states as well. So for Mano Sanchetana, then it becomes the future becoming the Bhava. And then for consciousness, the condition state is the name and form. So from the practice perspective, insight to nutriment would gradually undermine the self-view. Because life is a web or a process of feeding and being fed. So as in Ati Raga Sutta, translated by Ajahn Sujato as if there is desire, and it is in Samyutta Nikaya 12.64. When craving for nutriment fades, suffering also fades. When nutriment ceases, the fuel process winds down. So that's the end of Ahara Pachaya. So now it goes to the conclusion. These three Pachayo highlight that one, Adipati provides the leadership. Two, Asivana gives the momentum and strength. Three, Ahara provides the fuels to sustain and endure. So in the Buddha Dhamma, practitioner is encouraged and should aim for wise predominance, repeat the wholesome, and choose those nourishing food or nutriment for both the body and mind. Thus, such understanding of causal conditions would help and hopefully shorten this other's journey away from samsara. So that's the end of it. And these are the notes and the reference that I use.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want comment? No comment, we move to the next one.